3.5 Manipulating Formulas. We need to use algebra to find a particular variable from a surface area or volume formula. So the steps that we need to do are, number one, we need to determine what formula we need. Is it surface area or volume and what shape? Determine the variables that you're given. Chances are, if you're given this kind of a question, you're given either the surface area or the volume, and you have to find either the height or the radius or something else. Determine the variable you are looking for, substitute the known values, and use our order of operations to solve for not the known, but the unknown. So here are some hints. If you see an r squared, make sure that you take the square root of the other number. So if I solve for r squared equals 16, I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I'm going to say r equals 4, just like that. If the variable is multiplied by a number, then divide the number on the other side of the equal sign. So an example of this would be if I said 4x equals 12. I'm going to divide both sides by 4, so I say x equals 3. Now, the numbers aren't going to be as nice as this one, as in the examples that I gave you. So, like, now you could be like, oh yeah, 4 times what number is 12? Ah, yeah, that number is 3. But the numbers that you're going to be given in the questions are a little bit more difficult, so you have to know the algebraic steps. Don't add the numbers to numbers of variables. Subtract the lone number from both sides. So this happens in the surface area, specifically of a cone, cylinder, and a pyramid. So an example of this would be like 52 equals 3s plus 5. What we want to do is we want to subtract 5 from both sides here. So if I were to do that, I get 47 equals 3s. And then what we would do is we would take that 47 and we would divide it by 3. Now it's not a nice number, okay? So then the s would be 15.67, or what we could say is 6 repeating, okay? So this is just an example that we need to remember. We need to subtract 5 from both sides. Don't try to say 3 plus 5 is 8, okay? So let's just see how this plays out in the question. So the volume of a rectangular prism is 1,440 centimeters cubed. If the depth, or I could say the height, is 15 and the width is 8, find the length. So the volume of a rectangular prism is always going to be length times width times height. So I know what my volume is. My volume is 1,440. And I know what my depth is. We're just going to call depth height, okay? It's going to be the same thing. And the width here is 8, so that's this. So we want to find out what the length is. That's our question mark. So I know what the volume is. It's 1,440. The length is, I don't know, so I'm just going to write it as the variable, times the width is 8, times the depth or the height is 15. Okay, so I'm going to first figure out what 8 times 15 is. So I'm going to say 1,440 equals L times 120. Another way that I can actually write this out, Another way that I can actually write this out is I can say 1,440 equals 120L. Either way, it's the exact same thing. But I'm going to keep on going on the left-hand side here. So I'm going to divide, and I'm going to use just a different color to do this. So I'm going to divide by 120, divide this side by 120. So 1440 divided by 120 is going to be 12. Now I'll switch back. So 12, and we're working in centimeters here. Centimeters equals the length. Once we're finished, we'll put a box around it. So that one's pretty easy because we don't have any addition or subtraction. We just divide. So the surface area of a cone is 61,280.24 inches squared. Find the slant height if the radius is 14 inches. So we're looking at the surface area of a cone, and if I look on my sheet of paper, it's going to be pi r squared plus pi rs. So we know what the surface area is going to be. It's that 61,000. And we know what our radius is going to be. That's our 14 inches. Now what we want to do is we want to solve for that slant height. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in all the things that I know. So 61,280.24 equals pi times radius squared, so that's 14 squared, plus 2 times the radius, which is 14, times the slant height. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this, and I'm going to simplify that. So I'm going to say 61,280.24 equals, I'm going to say 14 squared times pi equals, so that's 615.75 plus, I'm going to say 2 times 14. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here, guys. This right here shouldn't be 2, this should be pi. Got to cut that. So I'm going to say, clear. So pi times 14 is going to be 4398. So 4398 S. So I'm just going to switch to writing so it doesn't look like it's a 5. So what I want to do is I want to isolate this. But this right here is getting in the way. It's added to it. So what I want to do to both sides first is I want to subtract 615.75 minus 615.75. If I do that, 615.75 minus 615.75, that just equals 0. So let's go 61,280.24 minus 615.75 equals 60,664.49. So that is 60,644. Oh, just forgot. Oh, wait, hold on. 664. 664.49 equals 4398S. Now, since I have a number multiplied by a variable, now I can divide both sides by what's multiplied by that variable. So divide this side by 4398. Because if I divide one number by the same number, it always becomes 1. I'm going to divide this side by 4398. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to divide that by 4398 equals 1,379.37. So that means that this side is just plain old S. I've forgotten already. 1379.37. And I want to remember what units we're using here. We're using inches. Put a box around it because I like my teacher. So these are the only two types of questions. The variable is multiplied by a number equaling another number. Okay, that's kind of a more simple version. And this version here, where you just have to subtract off the thing that's been added. So those are the two types of questions I can